Some as Ritika said, we get obsessed, or we getting too attached to that one object, and then later it will turn to anger. Basically, like for every word anyone tells, you will be so moody, and it is all because of that object we are getting attached to, which can lead to delusion, where we will be thinking, okay, this thing had happened, and um, but it actually doesn't. It's just our delusion, and we start overthinking things, and it starts to become it starts to affect our memory. It can lead to shortage of memory, or sometimes it can start playing with your memories. Like you can start some extra scenes that didn't even happen, that will come in your memory, and which can lead to our intelligence, where in something we were good at. Suppose in science we were good, and now that we are attached, we are obsessed with that one object, we start using it a lot. We don't practice what we like to do more. It can lead to the loss of our intelligence, which can lead us to a fall of our personality, where our whole personality will change. As I said, we will also become really moody. We will start behaving very horribly. We won't be giving respect to people like that.
Very good, Arya, very good. I think you are also able to explain that very well. Both of you have explained it well. So let's look at the two verses which are, even psychologists of the Western world, they actually look up to this to understand how to overcome all tensions and all our problems which result because of one thing, which is desire. And it begins with, where does it all begin? It begins by thinking about the sense objects. It begins by attaching ourselves to different sense objects and desiring. So stopping to desire is a tough thing, and Krishna gives us a solution. When we are constantly thinking about sense enjoyments, so Krishna says, Dhyato Vishayan Punsa Sangesteshu Pajayate. Along with that, you're going to be going along behind your senses to reach and achieve those sense objects. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. So here the word lust has a meaning of anything which you are desiring is included in lust. So when you develop an attachment, you will develop lust, or a strong need to have that, and from that, when you don't get it, it will end up in anger, and when you get it, you think, yeah, I got it, so what, I'm enjoying. But actually you don't realize that in this material world, however much you get, you will only want more and more. So then it will lead to greed, and ultimately it will lead to anger, because you're not going to be ever satisfied. From that anger, what will happen? Krodhat bhavati sammoha. You will be deluded. You're going to be bewildered. You will start thinking that you will, like how Arya had explained, your thoughts will go in a way which is going to cloud your thinking. Your memory will be bewildered. Your intelligence will be lost. As soon as you're angry, you lose your cool. You've lost yourself already. You fall down and you start behaving in ways which are not favorable. And so you're, like how she explained, your personality itself will go to a level which you are not going to be happy about. You're not going to feel that this is me. You'll be feeling embarrassed and ashamed of yourself. And where did it all begin? It all began from desire. So 8 steps which are sure short steps to failure is keeping on thinking about sense objects. Anything that you're having desire in the material world, then you develop an attachment. Lust will develop, anger will happen, delusion will happen, you will lose your memory and intelligence, and it will result in a fall. So this is what is really a very beautiful, these 2 shlokas, you all can choose to learn them. It goes, Dhyato Vishayan Pumsa Sangesteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamah Kamat Krodho Bhijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramshat buddhinashat pranashyati. So if you want to constantly remember this cycle and keep yourself free, you could learn this and recite this whenever you're meditating on the Gita. Okay. Now the next question, how does he walk or interact with the world? Again, the answer is such a person is free from attachment. He is able to control his senses through the principles of freedom, and he is able to obtain complete mercy of the Lord. He is connected to God at all times. He is satisfied in Krishna consciousness. Such a person has no miseries of material existence, do not affect him. It's not like they are not there, but they don't affect him. He has a satisfied consciousness. His intelligence is established. When you reach there, you should know, I have reached there, and you should be able to stay there. What about the plight of a worldly man? If a man is worldly, he's running after his senses, the sense objects, he has uncontrolled senses. What about him? One who is not connected in Krishna, and he has no transcendental intelligence. He cannot have a steady mind. That is why you see some people, they may be very rich. They may have all the things which people think that these are the material things which will bring joy, but he has no peace. You will find that he has no happiness and no peace, because in this material world you can't have them as long as you run after material objects. He fails to see that truth. Okay? So what happens to what is the plight of such a worldly man? He is compared to a boat in a storm. How the boat will be just swept away in a storm in a big ocean. Similarly, the senses on which the mind is focusing, it will carry away the man's intelligence. His intelligence will no longer work because his senses are carrying away his mind. Alright? How can you have the senses in your control? Krishna says, O mighty armed Arjuna, one whose senses are restrained from the objects, his intelligence is steady. As enemies are curbed by superior foes, similarly the senses can be curbed, not by human endeavor, not by willpower, but by engaging them in the service of the Lord. You are all engaging now in the service of Lord by listening. I am engaging in the service of Lord by talking to you about the Gita's lessons. So one has understood this, that only by Krishna consciousness you can really establish your intelligence, and then you practice this art. You can practice it under a spiritual master, or you can practice it by studying the Gita, and then you become a suitable candidate for liberation. So verse 69, there is a beautiful comparison of day and night. What is night for all living beings who are in the material world is actually a time of awakening for the self-control. So if you have, don't go and advise everybody, because all are not ready for this advice. Okay? Those who are busy in the material world trying to get material things all the time, for them this meditation, being self-control, keeping your senses in control, being one with Krishna, it will not make sense. All this will be like night for them. And for those who are internally living inside in peace and bliss of oneness with Krishna, for such a person, all these material pursuits, running after material pursuits all the time, all that will be night. So that's what Krishna is saying. What is night for those who are learned is day for those who are in the material world. So there are two classes of intelligent men. Those who are after material activities for sense gratification, and the other is those who are introspective, going within. They are awake to the cultivation of self-realization, and such a person's activities who is introspective, it appears like night to those who are engrossed in getting material possessions. So this is also very beautiful shloka which any of you can choose to learn. By next class, I told you I want you to choose your verse to learn. Then in verse 70, we are coming close to the end. There are 72 verses in this chapter. Krishna says that another comparison, he says that a person who is not disturbed by desires. You are able to track your thoughts. A desire is coming, you can track it. And then you can, change it to a higher taste immediately. You can convert it to a higher taste. He is not disturbed by the flow of desires, becomes like the ocean itself. Such a person becomes like the ocean. Even though rivers are entering the ocean remains the same. Although the vast ocean is filled with water, especially during rainy season, more water comes in, but the ocean remains steady. It is not agitated. Deep within the ocean, even the surface it appears like it's a storm, but deep within there is stillness. That is true of a person who is able to be fixed in Krishna consciousness. As long as you have a material body, the demands of the body for self-gratification will continue. It's not going to stop. The devotee, however, is not disturbed by these desires, because he knows that contemplation on these desires will lead to his downfall. So he becomes a person who doesn't need anything, because he knows the Lord will fulfill his necessities. Okay? So here we learn the peace formula. What is a peace formula? Can someone read it for me? What is a peace formula?
Can I read?
Alright.
Can I say Arya?
Alright. Arya, let Niranjan read. I heard him first, and then you can explain the next verse. Yes, Niranjan?
Given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all senses of
Proprietorship means ownership.
and is divorced of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. To become desire within for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as the eternal center of Krishna, without falsely claiming the material body to be comfort, and without falsely claiming the worship or anything in the world, is the perfect stage of Krishna's consciousness. One who is situated in this perfect stage knows that because Krishna is
Proprietor means owner. Okay, Niranjan? Proprietor means owner. Krishna is the owner of everything. We are just, part of the mud. We will get back, we will die, the body will be one with the mud. Our soul is eternal, and our soul longs to be one with Krishna, knowing that Krishna is the proprietor of everything, right?
Therefore, everything must be used for the identification of Krishna. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense.
Yeah, he did not want to fight for his own sense gratification earlier. Okay, so Arya, can you explain once more, looking at this slide, how will you get peace of mind? Arya, can you explain?
As ma'am, we can eliminate our desires, and we can also start. We should not think of the negativity. We should always think positive. Because I'm thinking, if you think negatively, your mind will start overthinking, and overthinking will not give. It's not a good cause for more peace. And if you don't have peace of mind, our personality can also change.
Yes. So Ritika, can you explain this slide?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So in this slide, it is said that first of all, for having peace of your mind, firstly we should give up for all our desires. We should not have any desire except for the Krishna consciousness. Secondly, the sense of proprietorship. This is mind. We should not be possessive enough to own
your desires. Like you feel like eating chocolate, you're just immediately going to eat the chocolate. So the background is a picture of a chocolate. You want to, you want, you're hankering, you badly want it. Suppose you have an ice cream, it's kept in the fridge, you want it, you will come back, you'll find somebody else ate it, you'll be angry, you'll behave badly, right? So that hankering should be stopped.
Okay. And pride, the pride that I am the doer, the pride in our possession. So we should not think like the reward or the good result that we have got is because of us. It is not because of us. It is because of the like Krishna controlled everything. He controlled us to be hardworking, and he made all the supports for us that we can work in a proper condition. No one disturbs us, and like we have a stable mood to work. So we should not be like this I have done because of me, and this is the truly
Path
the
to
path of
light.
light.
Once you understand this much, you have already come from darkness to light. Alright, so this is what it means. Arav, can you explain this? Can you read and explain this slide, Arav?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Arjuna did not want to fight for his own sense satisfaction, because Arjuna was feeling like this is a sin to fight, and I will not get any enjoyment when I lose, and even when I win, I will not get any enjoyment.
Correct.
But when he became fully Krishna conscious, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. Krishna told him that this is not a sin, and you have to fight for your own defense. So Arjun fighted for himself. There was no desire to fight, but for Krishna, the Arjuna fought to his best ability, because Arjuna became the I forgot that word.
Sthitadhir Muni. He learns the secret of sustained happiness, right? Which
Yes,
word?
ma'am. And he accepted Krishna as a guru, so he did what his guru said.
Very good, Arav. You explained very well. Okay, let's listen to who did not explain anything today. Misha. Misha, can you explain the bliss formula? How can one become blissful, happy? How can one become like that? Misha, look at this slide and read it and explain. Misha, can you unmute? Okay, Arya has raised her hand. Arya, and then maybe next slide Niranjana can explain. Arya?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, ma'am. Ma'am, meditating is the best way of feeling happy, ma'am, because ma'am, by meditating you are trying to release all that negative energy from you.
Okay.
And ma'am, many people also say that meditation is the best form for feeling happy, and that bliss and that joyous moment is always when you're meditating and you're releasing all that negative energy out from your body.
Right. And when you realize that you don't want anything for yourself, when you're meditating, you're able to reach oneness with the Supreme Consciousness. So you realize that you don't want anything, you have no desire, you're doing everything for Krishna, and Krishna is in everyone. So you're doing everything for the benefit of others, and then you attain bliss, or you become completely blissful. Yes, Arya, good. So the next slide is slightly difficult. I can't see Nisha or Niranjana. Let me just explain this one, where in the last verse of this chapter Krishna says that when you are doing a devotional service, or what you're doing, you're dedicating it to Krishna, there is no difference between being in the kingdom of God. So actually you become a Jivan Mukt person. That means while you're alive, although you're engaged in
Ma'am,
doing...
you can call me.
Who? Misha? Niranjana. Yes. Yes, Niranjana. I wanted you to tell me about, about from the slide what you understand, and I started explaining, so you can also explain. Um, when you're engaged in loving service of Krishna, then you become free and you are living in the spiritual kingdom already. There's no difference from doing the service and being in the spiritual kingdom. That is why you become in bliss when you attach yourself to Krishna and you attach all your desires to just being with Krishna. So Niranjana, can you just, we have explained all the 4 questions in this verse. Can you just read and explain to me what is the difference between a person who has material vision and a person who, after reading the first 2 chapters of Gita itself, you will be able to get spiritual vision? What is the difference, Niranjana? Can you explain?
Material vision is disturbed by dualities, heat, cold, water, or the body is that is one dies when the body dies and is hopeful.
Perplexities means confusion. So person material world, how is he? He is disturbed by heat, cold, winter, summer, good, bad. Somebody praises you, somebody said something bad about you. You're continuously disturbed. And you think, I am the body, these things are mine.
And they complain.
Yeah, they complain. And they think that when the body dies, the person is dead, finished. So let's just keep enjoying this world. So they're not seeing that there is a life after death, that we are actually not this body at all in the first place. And such a person is always anxious, perplexed, confused, doesn't know what to do, what is right, nothing. Right? But one who has spiritual vision, how is he, Niranjana? Or
Here it will be tolerant in situation, solace, eternal, does not die or take birth, cannot be cut, burned, destroyed, killed or be killed. Body dies, always changes, but soul remains the same and pervades the entire body with consciousness.
yeah, the soul is actually very, very tiny, situated in the heart, but its power is there in the whole body. And such a person who knows that he is not the body, he is a soul, he is residing in that consciousness which is there in his whole body, and that is how he will learn to slowly live in eternal bliss and peace. Such a person has developed a spiritual vision, right? So today, did you understand a little more? It actually takes a lot of practice. I have been learning and teaching Gita, but I am also still a person who is trying to reach there, right? So it is not easy. We have to, through practice, contemplation on the desire for God, we will be able to resist ourselves from the desire for material things, and we'll be able to reach complete bliss. So we have completed chapter 2 today. In the first, we learnt about Arjuna's indecision and his surrender to Krishna. Then we learnt about how Krishna explains what is your real identity. Think that you are not the body, you are the soul. Then we learnt about the 2 duties. We have a duty towards our body. We have to take care of our body. We have to do the things needed to support our body. But at the same time, we must remember that we have a duty towards our soul. Our soul longs to be just in Krishna consciousness, not be clouded by material desires. So we learn how to get the higher taste for higher joys of being one with Krishna. We learn the qualities of a person who is self-realized. How does he sit? How does he walk? We learned what are the qualities of such a person, and we learned the 8 steps to failure, right? Contemplation, dhyato vishyan punja sangeseshu pajayate, sangeseshu pajayate, and we learned those shlokas which teach us the 8 steps of failure. So with that, we end today's class. It's time to do the quiz. Next session, we will learn a little more about, in chapter 3, how spiritual life can be practiced now. How can you connect with God and achieve this sinless, pure path? Am I setting an example for others? How do I become a leader? What is the biggest challenge in the spiritual path? Yes, Ritika, you have a question?
Then when will be that session for this class?
When will?
That session we had.
Yes, you can ask now. This is make it,
Okay,
yeah,
ma'am.
yeah.
Ma'am, so my first question is like, you told that Hanuman destroyed all the Lanka. Like, even if it was a Krishna karma, he destroyed homes of many innocents, and like, it is not ethically correct, no?
Yes, you're right. That's what I told you. It is not ethically correct, but it becomes a sinless activity once you have dedicated it to Krishna. So he has destroyed and caused a lot of destruction, but it is for, he's doing it with Rama in his mind. He understands that Ravana is very powerful. He needs to find out what is the strength of this of Lanka. He needs, there are reasons why he does that, and he is entirely immersed in Ram consciousness. He is continuously devoted to Rama, and it was needed at that point of time. And nothing happens, first of all, without Krishna's will or without the Lord's will. So the emotion with which you're doing what you think is right, it purifies what you're doing. The emotion with which you are doing whatever you're doing, you are doing it with the sense that this is the right thing and I am doing it for Krishna, and you know that this is what is needed. That action becomes purified. It becomes sinless. Okay? So even though it appears like a sin, it becomes sinless once you dedicated it to Krishna with the complete knowledge that this is my duty and this is what Krishna wants me to do, and then you do it, then it becomes purified, because you are doing it without any desire for yourself. You are doing it with complete purity for Krishna and for the world alone. You're doing it for the benefit of the world, seeing Krishna everywhere around you or Rama everywhere around you. You do it for the benefit of the world. You do it for Krishna or Rama or the Supreme Personality. It becomes a totally sinless activity. I hope I'm able to explain that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then my second question is that,
Yes? Good question.
then my second example is that, as you told that for peace, we should not have any desires in us. And like if we have a desire of like studying good, and by studying good we can be a good person, by acquiring loads of knowledge, we can contribute to this world as well. So isn't it a good desire? Like we should have it or not?
You should have it, but you have to connect it with Krishna. In your mind, you are connecting your desire to study well to Krishna, saying that I am studying well with no desire for the fruit. I am dedicating what I am doing, the fruit, to you, O Krishna, the Supreme Lord. Who knows what is the benefit, really the beneficial, what is the beneficial thing for the whole world. You don't know what exactly is beneficial for the world, what you can do, but once you dedicate it to Krishna, you're studying well because it's going to help you be a good citizen for the country. You'll be able to do good things for the people around you. Very good. That desire is very good, as long as you can also connect it to Krishna, which will not take you to that circle of you remember we learned a circle, the desire, when it is not happening, the anger, the delusion, then the loss of intelligence, then fall. You will be probably trapped into that circle if you don't connect it to Krishna. So even though you have any desire in the material world, it's fine as long as you can connect it to Krishna, and then your desire is focused on one. You're not thinking, oh, I will probably be a doctor and help some sick people, or I'll probably be an IAS officer and make the system corruption free or whatever. You're not thinking like in those lines. You're not thinking of so many things. You are just thinking of Krishna. So your mind is single focus it has. It is single-minded dedication. And then what you do actually will become better quality, and what you do will be more, it will have more power in giving benefit to the world. So change that many focus attitude of it will be good for them or good for my parents and this and that and so many things. Just convert it to one single focus, that what I am doing, I am giving it to Krishna. I am not worried about the results. I dedicate my results also to Krishna. This moment, what I am doing it in complete focus. That's it. So that complete focus will help you to be escape from that trap of going towards a downfall where you're attached to your desire. So don't be attached to it. How will you be detached? Through Krishna consciousness. Right? It requires practice. Good, very good questions, Ritika. I hope all of you are trying to solve the quiz. Well, let's quickly say Hare Krishna once, and then you all can do the quiz and meet you next Sunday. By next Sunday, I want all of you to choose. Good. I want all of you to choose a shloka and learn it up and recite it. Next class, we'll begin with shloka recitation by the students. So let's say Hare Krishna together, and you will say the Hare Krishna even before you say your shloka next class. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Ma'am, I did the quiz.
Alright, good, very good. You've done the quiz.
I did the quiz.
Good. Good, Niranjan. Good, all of you. I'll check the quiz later. But you all are generally doing well. Some of you are doing it twice. If you get something wrong, that's also good because then you are confident of the answers. Okay, so Hare Krishna. Yes, Ritika.
In Avengers movie, it was there was Thomas who was trying to decrease the population of the world by killing at least almost 50 or whatever percentage of the population. So his intentions were good, but his method of doing that thing was incorrect. So is it ultimately correct or incorrect?
That depends on his intention is good, but if he's able to not do it with a sense of attachment or desire, then you will not be able to blame him. And one more thing you learn when you come to Krishna consciousness, no Ritika, you will not judge people. You will learn not to judge others. You'll be able to see everyone around you as a devotee or a prospective devotee, and you will more be focused in going within. You learn from examples of others, but your tendency to judge others will also reduce, because that person is doing something in his consciousness. What level of thinking he has, which place he is now, he is probably hankering for material desires, but you have to stay free from the tendency to judge. You can learn from the different stories. You can say, okay, I think this is not correct. That's